Welcome to another Harris-Elmore and Genoa Libraries podcast with me, Ariel, and Sierra. Welcome. It's just us this month.
It's just us, but that's okay. I kind of miss this a little bit.
Yeah, it's nice to just keep it personal. Not that we're not personal with everybody else, but...
Right. No, it's just having like two people you like talk more, you can like get to know each other better, I guess, in a sense.
I think so.
So, and it's a gloomy day out as we record. I came in early to sit by the fireplace, and now it's roasting me alive.
At least you'll be nice and warm when you go outside, and you'll get rehydrated from the rain.
That's true. So we were supposed to have one of the drive-up bingos later today.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you're going to have that.
Not if it's raining. But a month ago, we had that one over at Genoa. We got through one. That was my phone. Sorry.
I love that ringtone.
Oh, my gosh. I thought I shut everything off. Maybe I didn't. Sorry. We had 3 people waiting in their cars. And we got through one game of bingo, and it started just downpouring. And it was freezing cold. And it was just awful. And we were like running to pack everything up real quick and make sure nothing got wet. It wasn't very fun.
Oh, I'm sorry you had that experience. Ours, when I did it with Abigail and at Veterans Park in the parking lot next to the Big Dipper, we had a blast. And what made it, I think, so much fun were the people. Because like they were cracking us up, especially like I was the one getting all the balls like to fall out and like calling the numbers and stuff. And they just overflowed because I was trying to keep up, and it started like rolling all over the floor. And here I'm like trying on the concrete, trying to catch these rolling balls with numbers on them. And they were like laughing, and I'm like, I can't even be upset because I also was laughing at myself.
Yeah, no, I've had the same problem because like the few times that I've done it, inevitably it's freezing outside, and they're all sitting in their cars, and my fingers have gone numb. So I'm trying to catch the little balls out of the thing, and my fingers just aren't working, and I'm just dropping them. Yeah.
Well, if you have gloves, then they're like all slippery. Yeah. I didn't wear gloves either because it was not going to be my friend at all.
No, I feel like that'd be even worse. But I mean, if you have gloves or you have numb fingers, it's basically the same difference. You can't feel anything.
Nope. Ugh. But good. I definitely recommend, though, when the weather's nice to go out and do it. It's fun.
We're going to keep having it. I think people are really enjoying it. I just don't know if April or May was really our months for doing it because all it's done is rain.
Yeah. It'll be nice, though. I mean, the grass is really green. I've heard the birds chirping. Oh, love that.
It's better than doing it in the snow. I'll give you that.
Oh, for sure. I don't think we could keep up with the snow. I couldn't keep up with the snow.
No, that was the worst.
Yeah, no.
I enjoy this better. It's May now. There's flowers all over. I was out cleaning the flower bed at my new house, and I discovered that we have 3 hostas. We have a rose bush.
Oh.
And we have daylilies.
Oh, love daylilies.
I know. And then we have some sort of purple flower out by our garage. I don't even know what it's called.
Is it the little ones that are like really tiny?
No, they're bigger. Because like they're just green leaves right now. We scanned it with our phone camera to see like what would happen. It's not crocus if that's what you're thinking of.
It's like, I don't want to say hibiscus. That's wrong.
They're smaller.
Yeah. Because
I don't know flower names very well.
Purple rain? Is that what I'm thinking of? Because it's not lavender, right?
No. Isn't that a song?
It has like, it's on a stalk, and it's like kind of like they all come out at the top. Yeah, it's not that.
You said that's what you said.
It is what I said because I'm looking it up online right now as we're chatting, and this is not what I thought it was based on the picture online. This is not at all. Well then.
No, I don't think it's that.
I love having tulips. That's my jam.
I know. See, I didn't know what I was gonna have. Because right now it's just like green leafy stuff out front. And I had asked someone else, and they're like, I bet it's tulips. And then I scanned it with my phone yesterday. Or not yesterday, it was a while ago. Um, and it said daylilies. So I'm just waiting for them to bloom now.
That's
So,
cool.
yeah, I'm
I don't know.
excited.
I guess I can't help you. Sorry. I thought I don't know much about flowers.
I don't know. I'll have to scan it again. I like it looked familiar when I scanned it, but I don't know the name of it. But now I have Purple Rain stuck in my head. Thank you.
Hopefully
Wonderful
it's a
song.
good. Oh, good. Okay.
It's a good song. You don't know Purple Rain?
Oh, I know Purple Rain, but
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, oh, I hope like it's a good thing that it's stuck in your head. Because
Oh,
some
okay,
people are
okay.
like, we have that song stuck in my head now, and then they're like thinking about it all day, and they're like, dang it, I don't want this song in my head.
Yeah, I mean sometimes I feel that, but no, I like this song. It's okay.
Okay, good. That's a good thing. So I guess, since it's been a while, what have you been reading anything, watching anything?
I've been reading a lot actually, and
Oh, yay.
I don't even know what really got me into it. It was probably prompting from my friend because she was appalled at the fact that I had never watched The Maze Runner. And
What?
I know. See, you're just
Not
appalled now, right?
not pshing you, I'm pshing your friend
Oh,
because
yeah.
I think there are a lot of, even though I enjoyed it and I did read the first book, I think there's other books and movies that would like be a more priority.
Yeah, I was reading a lot of like my book group stuff, like a lot of the manga. And I
Yeah,
finally did finish that Pierce Brown novel. I mean, that took me forever. So I was a little bit
those
in
are
a
big.
slump there, I think. That was a big victory just to finish that book. But she really wants to watch the movie because she loves it so much and I've never seen it. And we're kind of going back and forth, like making each other watch movies the other one hasn't seen
I
yet.
love that though.
So yeah, it's fun. I make them watch my favorite TV show all the time. And we just recently watched Knives Out because she'd never seen it.
Mm.
And then we watched the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie because I have never seen Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm appalled at myself on that remark because I love pirates and Johnny Depp, and I don't really know what stopped me all these years. I've just never made time for it.
So the question is then, did you see the other Pirates of the Caribbean movie before you saw the first one, or you just haven't seen any?
I haven't seen any, so we just
Oh,
started at the
okay.
beginning. I've seen bits and pieces of one of them, but I don't know which one it was. It was just
So
on
you're good
TV.
then. It
Yeah.
like builds the story if you start from the beginning to the end. So
Oh, for
you'll be good.
sure. Yeah, and I'm gonna love it. I know I am. That's
We
why
played. I love their dun, 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 like that part, and we played that so many times in middle school band. Like
that's
I have it
awesome.
memorized.
No, it's a good movie series, I'm sure, and it's just one of those things. I don't even know why I put it off. So
It's
kind of
so
like
fun.
with The Maze Runner, where my brothers read it and my friends read it, so it only took me like less than 2 weeks and I had it finished, and that's a lot for me because I'm a slow reader.
It's
So
pretty fast paced.
I just neumed through it. So we're just waiting for a day when we're like all together and we can watch the movie now.
I think you'll like it.
I think so. I think she wants me to watch it mostly because of, is his name Dylan O'Brien?
Yeah.
Did I get that right? Yeah. Because
I
of
was
him.
gonna say I'm pretty sure because that sounds right.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've watched it, but I really liked it.
I've seen him
It's
in other
fun.
stuff and he is a really great actor.
It's crazy though, like how you guys are like alternating between movies that you guys haven't seen. There's so many movies out there. Like I don't know how many times patrons have come up to me and they're like, "Oh, well, have you seen this?" And I was like, "I've never even heard of that." Like there's just so
Yes.
many. You can't keep track.
I know. I know, definitely. And one of the things was they haven't seen all of like the Indiana Jones movies all the way through. Like they've seen bits and pieces
Oh,
and stuff, and I'm like, oh, we're so
oh.
doing that one day. I love Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Oh man, love it. Have always been intrigued by it because I don't know if you remember like if you had the VHSs growing up, but like the old Disney ones, and they'd have like the action park, and then it'd
Yes.
be like dun dun dun, and then the big boulder, and then it's
Yes. Oh
just
my
like
God, I remember that so
that
well.
little clip in the intros of all the Disney VHSs.
Yeah, it draws you in, like you want to watch it then, just that little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's classic. It's never gonna die. I love Indiana Jones.
Never. Oh man.
So
I
the
love
other
the one with
thing,
Shia LaBeouf.
it's not my favorite. Sorry.
I just like it because Shia's in it.
I was gonna say nothing against Shia. It's just it wasn't. I felt like the storyline wasn't quite in line with the like first three, but the second
Yeah.
one kind of went off base too.
Yeah, I
It was a
definitely
little
agree with the
different.
third one for sure. They just kind of were trying to wrap things up, I think.
Yeah, so I could see that.
Too much plot.
Um, yeah, so still waiting to watch The Maze Runner, but the book was really good and I was really excited, so I got the second one out because at the
Yeah.
end of the first book, you read the first chapter of The Scorched Trials, and it just got me really excited. So I'm gonna read that one next. Because right after I finished that one, like the day after, I started reading The Knife of Never Letting Go, which was
Oh,
actually Ariel's staff pick last year sometime.
are you thinking of Abigail?
Who did I say?
Me.
Oh,
Because
I'm
that's the Patrick
sorry.
Ness one, right?
Yeah.
I know I want to read that series though, but I'm
It's
pretty sure it was Abigail because I remember her picture. She's kind of
no,
like sitting on the chair and then
yeah, you're
having.
right. I think I was looking at your name on my computer screen. But yeah, it was
That's okay.
Abigail's.
I just don't
Um,
want people to be like, "Oh, hey, I heard you read that book," and I'm like,
oh
"I don't know what you're
no,
talking about."
sorry.
I
Sorry
don't.
everybody. Ignore what I said. It was Abigail. Um,
So if you want to talk
yeah.
about it, talk to her.
See, I didn't realize, I guess I'd never really heard of it. And
Mm.
then my brother and I saw the movie Chaos Walking coming out. And we're like, that looks amazing. So we went to go see it. And it wasn't until the very end of the movie and they're rolling the credits and it says, based on this book by Patrick Ness. And I looked at my brother and I'm like, I didn't know it was a book first. Because I like to read the book and then the movie because it makes me mad if I don't.
I
So
hate when that happens.
I know. I was so like, why did you put this somewhere where I would have known and that I could read it first? Um, he likes to get on me about that. I'm sure I've said this before on the podcast that he's like, if you watch it first and then read it, you can enjoy both.
I
And
don't think so.
I really liked the movie, and the book is phenomenal. I'm loving it. I'm just like eating it
Oh,
up,
that's good.
but it's so different. I mean,
See, that's just it.
there's almost nothing in the movie that they got right.
Oh no. That's like one of my pet peeves. Like I know they're gonna do what they're gonna like whatever they're gonna do in Hollywood and
Yeah.
make the movie, but just
Well, it's
kind of
like
like a rip.
even it's a really, really thick book, so there's a lot to it.
Mm.
And they just like I can see where they just cut most of that out in the movie. Cause like so in the movie at one through like the whole middle portion, I would say they're running. And in the book, they run into a lot of different people and settlements and they meet different people and have different experiences. And they cut most of that out in the movie. They don't meet people or anybody. And it's like, yeah, they just kind of cut all of that out, all those interactions. So
That's the
it's
hard.
a good movie, but I can see if you read the book first, you're just gonna not like it.
Oh man. See, I guess it really doesn't matter. Whichever way you read it, there's always going to be something that's different. And
For
I guess it just
sure.
depends to the individual, like whether or not it makes it like a deterrent for you to like the movie versus the
Mm-hmm.
book. Because there's some
It's
things like I still like to watch the Hunger Games movie, even though like I read the book first and like had read the whole series, and then they came
yeah.
out with the movie, and I was like, what the heck? But I still like
Mm-hmm.
can kind of appreciate both. So I guess it really depends who you are.
That's I think with so much that had happened in the book too, I'm not sure they would have been able to fit most of that in the movie. Certainly not
Yeah.
the way they did it. Um,
Yeah. Or next thing you know, it'll be like Twilight, and you have like part one, two, three. I mean,
mm-hmm.
got Harry Potter, so many parts, so many.
Yes. And see, I think also a big thing is I liked the actors they picked, and it's Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley.
Mm.
And I love both of them, and they really played the part well. That was probably honestly one of the best things I've seen Tom Holland in, for me personally.
Ooh.
I really enjoyed his character and that he just played it really well. And then I'm reading the book, and his character is 13 years old.
What?
So
What?
I'm like, oh, okay, I see that yeah, there's that difference where they didn't include that in the movie. They didn't.
Oh, wow. I'm
Yeah.
so intrigued because I do want to read it. Everybody's been like, "Oh, it's good. You have to read it." So
It's really good. I
I'll be
am just
very interested
flying
when
through it.
I. Ugh,
So that's probably
insane.
another one where I'm almost maybe 2 weeks. It took me like 2 weeks to read it, and then I'll jump into the Scorch Trials and keep going from there.
Yeah,
But
you'll be like mind blown later on. You'll be like, "What?"
yes, because there's more to it. There's more to the
Mm-hmm.
Maze Runner series. There's more to the Knife of Letting Go. I think that's a trilogy too.
I think so. Yeah,
So
pretty sure. Mm.
yeah, and all that book group stuff that I've been ignoring now.
I know it's been so hard for me to like keep up with manga club. I don't know
Mhm.
if you've noticed, like stop. If you don't send them to me, like I don't come pick them up because I'm like, I can't keep up right
I
now.
can't even remember if I sent you April's.
I don't think so. That's why I was like, oh, good. Maybe I can catch up and I'll just order them when I have free time.
I might just let you do that. I need to talk to everybody. I emailed them, but they didn't email me back yet. But we might switch what we're reading. I love One Piece.
Oh, for
The
sure.
problem is not enough libraries have copies of the whole series. So
Mm,
I was ordering like 10 of each book every month because we would read 5 each month.
yep.
Um, and now it's gotten to the point where I'm having a hard time finding 5 or 6 copies to order for
I'm
each book.
trying to think how many books are in the series.
Oh, like over
I was,
100.
I was just gonna say, isn't there like 120?
Yeah, there's a lot. And we're on books like
I
30,
was gonna say, yeah, maybe 40,
31 to
maybe.
36.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna run in.
we're not even half that far just watching it. So I want to talk to everybody and maybe pick a new series. One of my kids had suggested Fairy Tale, but I looked
Oh,
into
yeah.
that and not enough libraries have enough copies. We're looking at like 3 copies here, 2 over there. And it's like if we want to like continuously go through it, I have to have at least 8 or 10 a month
Yeah.
per book.
Yeah, unless people are gonna bring them back. Yeah, that's hard to
Yeah.
keep up with. Well,
So
if you see anything and you need me to order copies for our collection, I can always look into that for you too.
oh yeah.
So just let
So
me know.
I'll hopefully talk to them soon, see what they want to read next, what I can get a hold of. If I can't
Yeah,
get a hold of fairy
that's
tale stuff, then we'll look into something else.
that's always the hard part, especially with book groups,
Mm-hmm.
especially because you try to be inclusive and have like large prints and audiobooks, and if you don't have them,
Yeah.
it's hard to like you have to advise like, hey, if you vote for this,
Yeah.
this is what you're getting. Mm-mm.
Have you been reading anything besides book group?
Well, I'm still in book group. We're reading The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks.
Hmm.
And that's interesting because they like took her cells and like didn't tell her that they took her cells, and they've made it into like a huge industry, and so it's like their family found out, so they're fighting for like their rights of that.
Right.
So that part's interesting. It's a lot of medical stuff. So if you're not into
Mm-hmm.
medical things, it's not for you. But a series that I've been watching that I've like did not think I was gonna like was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Oh my Lanta. I just was like,
No spoilers.
oh, of course not. No, no. I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But
I
I just was like, what? And then I realized one character, I thought he looked familiar to me. And then I was like, why does he look familiar? And I was talking with our page, and she was like, oh, yeah, that's Kurt Russell's son. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much
okay.
sense. And like the plot has thickened. I just watched episode 4 and I was like, the
I've
ending just
I've heard some things about episode 4. I feel you in that respect because I also did not think I was going to like it, and I watched the first episode, and I'm still a little iffy about some things, but like I love seeing Bucky trying to adjust to normal life, and
yeah.
he's being pardoned and just trying to put his life back together after
Well, yeah,
70
and
years and
well, that's just it. When you think about it, like he wasn't even himself. Like he was literally being controlled, like mind controlled. It's like
yes.
insane. And it's after the blip. So for those of you that don't know, it's
Mm-hmm.
after the blip is where the story takes place. So it kind of picks up. where it left off. So it's super interesting. And I'm just like, there's a lot of twists and turns. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then you're
Yeah.
like, I get it. And then you're like, oh my God. It's just, I would recommend. It was good.
So
At least
I'll
so
try
far.
to keep going and keep watching that. I haven't had time so far to watch more than the first episode, but I
Yeah.
guess I had such a hard time with the last movie. I was really mad at how they ended it,
Yeah.
especially with Captain America. I did not like what they did. And I
Oh,
felt like
know.
I feel like it was
I know.
inaccurate to the comic books. I felt like it was inaccurate to the way Stan Lee would have wanted things. And that's just my opinion.
I've seen people reading the comics. I think it's a lot to keep up with the comics, but I almost want to just order them because I hear so many times that there are so many different things that happen or details you miss from the movie that they didn't add into it, but it's in the comic books. I'm like, oh.
Right. I think there was big stuff, and I don't even know if they touched on that when they did like WandaVision, but there was a version of the Vision where he was sort of like a cyborg robot. So that was kind of different there. There's a version of Black Panther where Black Panther dies and his sister takes over as the role of Black Panther. In the originals, Captain America dies and Bucky takes over as Captain America, which is what I was kind of hoping to happen at the end of not Civil War, but Endgame, and they didn't do that. So again, I was a little salty. I know. The last movie makes me so mad. I just can't even.
I'm so curious to see where Marvel is going to take everything, just with because I did watch WandaVision too, because I was very intrigued by Scarlet Witch's little backstory. So it'll be interesting of what I've seen and heard.
Right. I heard that one kind of had like a lead into the new Doctor Strange.
Exactly. But the thing is like where they left off at the end of that series, because they only did one season, that movie isn't going to actually happen till 2022. And I understand you have to go to post-production and reshoot some things, voiceovers. However, I got some beef with Marvel. You can't leave us hanging for almost over a year. Come on, that's just mean.
Yes, they can.
Mean. I mean, I know they can, but I don't want them to. It's just painful.
Okay.
Now I have to wonder.
Did you watch Agent Carter? That's an old series now. That's 4 years old.
Yeah, I watched half of it because at the time, where was I 4 years ago? I think I was in graduate school. Ew, it's weird saying that. Yeah, I think I was in graduate school.
It was super great, and my whole family was obsessed. We were watching it on TV because it was on weekly. Yeah, and it was just incredible. And they get to the ending, somebody gets shot. You're left just kind of seeing that person on the floor. I'm not saying who in case you haven't watched it.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of just pans out, and that's the end of the season.
They didn't make another season though, right?
They never made a season 2. So you don't know if that person's alive, if they actually died. You're only kind of speculating who shot this person.
Wow.
I'm still salty because it's been 3 or 4 years and they never made a season 2.
And
it was such an incredible series.
I did like what I had seen. I love Agent Carter.
I know. It's so good.
Well, I guess since we've caught up a little bit, we talked a little bit, I would, if you'd like to, we could move on to a little bit more serious part of this podcast.
Yeah.
For the month of May.
I think we should.
Okay. Well, for those of you that don't know, this month of May, we are going to focus on mental health awareness. Now, you may not know this, so I'm going to get my little blurb here so I don't mess anything up. May is National Mental Health Awareness Month. So this month strives to raise awareness of those living with mental or behavioral health issues, even though this is something that people should be aware of all year round. to help reduce the stigma for so many individuals that experience stuff. Because people do tend to judge others. That's just how it is, based on the way they behave or some mental issues that they struggle with. So I thought it would be a good idea to start off with, what is mental illness? And I found while looking stuff up that there are 2 categories that make up mental illness, which I did not know this. I thought it was just under one umbrella. So there's one, which is any mental illness, aka AMI, and then those with serious mental illness, SMI. And these are not mutually exclusive. So you don't have to have one to have the other, or you could have both, or it just depends on how things are. And the any mental illness is defined by Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Association, which it's a very long name, or SAMHSA, as having any mental, emotional, or behavioral health disorder. And a person with an AMI, or any mental illness, is defined as having an SMI by, Lord, this is a long run-on sentence. I'm sorry, everybody. It's defined as anybody having a disorder that interferes with or limits one or more major life activities. So, I mean, a lot of people struggle with stuff and they may not even know that they have one.
Right, yeah.
Which is the crazy part of it.
No, I didn't know it was kind of categorized like that either.
Well, that's why I thought it was interesting, because there's a bunch of health resources out there too, which near the end here, I'm going to give a list so that we can also like put up on the screen for those that want to learn a little bit more. If you're a care supporter for someone that has a mental illness, there's stuff for you guys too. Like, they don't just worry about the person that has that illness. It's also their support team, because you get drained.
Right. It is. That's a big stress too, is just like taking care of someone. It's hard taking care of someone under normal circumstances or just when they're not feeling well or something, but trying to take care of someone that has a mental illness that's like a whole added, I don't even have a good word for it.
Yeah, which I know some people, it's been more of I don't want to say a trend, but more exposure for like mental health and how to take care of yourself, especially like with the pandemic. It's been a big like, hey, mental health is a thing. You need to take care of yourself.
Right. And it's been
physically
hard,
and mentally.
On any age group. I know, I'll say my grandma, for example, I believe she's 80. And she's been taking this really badly. Like, she was almost doing okay in the beginning, and as time's gotten on, we've been through a whole year of this pandemic, and she doesn't get out anymore. She doesn't we haven't been going to church on Sundays. We only watch online, so she's not getting out of the house there. My mom does all her grocery shopping and picks everything up, so she's not getting any outside social interaction. And she kind of withdrew back into herself, when we were like, you can call people or call the people from the church or call your family, and she's gotten to the point where she won't even do that. So it's just become like a mental strain for her, and then for my mom trying to take care of her, because she's just kind of not willing to do anything.
Absolutely. It's very hard. And I know that you're talking about the older generation, but even the younger generation too, like you said, they're really struggling too.
Oh yeah.
Almost 10% of the youth in the US have severe major depression, compared to almost 9% within especially since COVID's happened. I know it's only increased, which like you said about having that social interaction, getting to be out with people.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
I know. Well, think about kids in school and stuff. They haven't been in school regularly this whole year. Some are doing homeschooling, and let's just face it, the world was not prepared for homeschooling.
I agree.
Not at all. So that was like a strain on parents, a strain on students, having to be online all day, not
Yeah,
being able to go to school and
oh
see their
yeah.
friends.
Well, the teachers, I know, like you said, schools weren't prepared. That's not how schools
No,
had been set up with their infrastructure. Just
no,
it's not
not at all.
not. I mean, it's been tough for everybody, and that's the
Yeah.
crazy part, which I think is bananas to me.
And I felt so bad. There were so many people at the end of 2020, and they're like, next year is going to be better, and 2021, it's going to go away. And I'm like, you're so hopeful, but it's not. And there's still a lot of people out there getting COVID. I know some people that have died recently, or people that are getting sick from the vaccinations. Like, there's still a lot going on out there. And that just increases the stress because it hasn't gone away. And we're still thinking about it.
Absolutely.
And we're still thinking
Absolutely.
about the effects of what's happening.
Well, that's just it. I think a lot of the stress comes from like people not knowing what's happening or what is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it so much worse because you have all that wondering, anxiety. I know Michael and I are supposed to get married in the fall, and we're still planning on everything not going well, just in case. But
It's hard, yeah, it's hard to plan for anything because you just never know what's going to happen or what's going to come up.
oh, absolutely. And I mean, luckily through this, they've made resources accessible. So, like, getting that mental health, like, I know at the, say, like 3 months into it, they called it the five, and it was like promoted. So you talk to 5 people once a day. They don't have to be the same
Yeah.
5 people, but it could be different people just to have some interaction, some talking outside of like your at home circle when we all had to
Right.
stay home, which I think was way helpful because people that get treatment, like in a given year, according to what I found from NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Health, 45% of adults with mental illness in just one given year get treatment, which is great. So people I don't think are aware that there's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And 66% of adults with serious mental illness, along with 51% of youth, so 6 to 17-year-olds with a mental health condition just in general. So like people I think forget that like it's a thing, and even though you can't see it,
Mm-hmm. That's
it's like a
it's
huge thing.
to anybody. You could be walking down the street and pass 5 people that are having some sort of, mental something going on and not even know it.
I'm so glad you said 5 because 1 in 5 US adults experience mental illness. Isn't that bananas?
Right? That's
So
a
that's
lot
like,
of people.
yeah. And when you think about it, there's millions of people, billions of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and 1 in 5. And, we don't even know it. We could have listeners listening to the show or watching this show, hearing this, that have
Absolutely.
some form of mental illness. That's why we do want to say right now, we're not experts on any of this. We looked up a bunch of stuff
Absolutely.
online because we didn't want to mislead anybody. But there's a lot of resources out there to help with this sort of things going on, or maybe you just want to look into it more. We're going to try to post all of the resource links that we have in our description here and on our Anchor for people listening. I think you can do that too, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so we're going to try to have all these links to all the resources that we're talking about so you can get a hold of that information too.
Because I know I learned a lot looking up, like I didn't know 1 in 5. 1 in 20 adults experience serious mental illness, while like 17% of youth experience a mental health disorder, which I'm like, that's a lot.
That's a lot. And it's kind of sad when you think about it. Like, kids shouldn't have to deal with anything like that. They should just be able to be kids. But the world's just gone crazy, and people have to deal with so much nowadays.
Yeah. And I know there's still a lot of like data coming out because of like the pandemic, and they're always changing numbers, but what I've been able to find, a lot of it's just increasing in general.
Yeah. No, I believe that.
Which, if you think you may be suffering from a mental illness or you think someone else is, I did find this awesome infographic from NAMI as well, which is a lot of where the resources that I found have come from. They talk about warning signs of mental illness. So there is a bunch here. So I'm hopeful we'll get this. Of course, we'll have the link so you can click it, but we're going to have Nathan also post it with acknowledgement to NAMI. So we give them credit since we are using their infographic to help them spread some helpful information for those that are worried. Because if you're feeling very sad, withdrawn for more than 2 weeks, that could be a warning sign. Trying to harm or end someone's life, making plans to do so, severe, out of control, risk-taking behavior that causes harm to self or others, a sudden overwhelming fear for no reason, significant weight loss or gain. That's always a big thing.
Right, yeah. Definitely know something's not right there.
Yeah, and there's quite a few more. There's like excess use of alcohol or drugs, drastic changes in mood, behavior, personality, sleeping habits, extreme difficulty concentrating or staying still, intense worries or fears that get in the way of daily activities. So there's quite a bunch. And I mean, if you think someone does have this or you're worried about someone that you care about, if you notice these things, you just need to ask questions. There's plenty of resources you can call for free. You don't have to just go to a doctor's office for it too, is what I found. So on these links, there's a bunch of stuff that we'll provide, but you can always call the NAMI helpline too. That's 800-950-6264. You can always do that. You can go online. You can take a mental health class. There is a bunch of stuff. And just try to understand what they're experiencing and how it affects them. I mean, if you don't go through it yourself personally, it is hard, but I think being open-minded helps a lot, and not to make their feelings invalid, because it is a big thing to them.
I feel like it is also a good thing to just learn about this kind of stuff, even if you're not experiencing it or you don't know anybody that is. There's a lot of people in the world that are. And it's just really good to be able to learn about it so you know about it, so you can be empathetic towards these people, or just kind of understand what they're going through or how not to, it gives you a better idea of how to react to certain situations. I know even through the library, we take webinars all the time just to learn about different resources that the libraries have and everything. And that is one that I see a lot of bigger libraries providing resources for people like us to learn and understand. If we have patrons that come in that want to talk about this, or maybe they're experiencing something and we just have to react to the situation. So it is very helpful to learn and understand more.
Absolutely. And mental illness can really hit at any age, but a lot of the time, what I've seen, at least in the research that I've done for the podcast, 50% of all lifetime illnesses begin at age 14, which 14 is a very hard age already.
Yep.
Your body's developing, you have hormones, you're in middle school, maybe getting ready to go into high school, depending when you were born.
Yeah.
It's very overwhelming. And you have expectations. Well, 75% lifetime illness, mental illness, could begin at age 24, which is also another hard time. You could be getting done with college, you could be graduate school, buying a house, trying to get married, having kids, like all those big changes. It's very hard.
Yep.
I mean, you handle it, but it's nice to have a support team.
Yeah, it's a struggle. So I feel that.
I do as well. It's nice to have people you can talk with. It makes a very big difference, I think.
For sure. And, if you don't have someone right next to you to talk to, your family or something, like Ariel said, there is helplines you can call, like the number she gave, or on some of the other resources that we posted with our video and our audio, that there's people you can call and talk to. So.
Absolutely. And there is one more infographic that I did find that I would like to share. and it's entitled The Ripple Effect of Mental Illness. So it talks about like how that can affect that single person, how that single person can affect the family, how that family can affect the community, that community can affect the world. So it's very interesting to me. So they share having a mental illness can make it challenging to live everyday life and maintain recovery. Absolutely. And so they talk about how that impact can ripple out. So for that person, 18% of US adults' mental illness can also have a substance use disorder, which of course leads to health issues, can increase the risk of chronic disease. There's like diabetes, there's cancer, there's a bunch of that.
Yeah.
And then that can lead into the family. Then caregivers spend on average 32 hours per week providing unpaid care.
Wow.
Which is, it's a lot. And
yeah,
on top of if you're working 40 hours a week, that's like your second part-time job there, almost full time.
It's amazing. And it's something that I think a lot of people don't think about, not just in the mental health situation, but in all situations, that it doesn't matter who you are or what you do, your life affects other people.
Absolutely.
But aside from that, we also want people to know that you're never alone. There's always going to be somebody there. No matter how dark or desperate the times may seem, there's always someone you can call or talk to, online, in person, over the phone.
Absolutely.
There's always somebody there, and you're never going to be alone.
It makes a difference. I also found out with the family, at least 8.4 million Americans provide care to an adult with an emotional or mental illness. That's quite a lot. So if you think you are alone, there are other people that are struggling with something that you could talk about. And a lot of these helplines are 24 hours, 7 days a week. So they should be there. And then, of course, how that family can relate to the community. There's so many things. There's a lot of statistics in this part. So 21% of people experiencing homelessness can also have a serious mental illness.
Right.
37% of people incarcerated in the state and federal prisons have a diagnosis, a medical condition. 70% of the youth in the juvenile system have at least one mental health condition. And 1 in 8 of all visits to the U.S. emergency departments are related to mental and substance use disorders, which is crazy. And then when you think about it from the community standpoint to the world, depression is the leading cause of disability worldwide, which is...
It's really, I know, your numbers are just like, you don't even think about it. We go about our days and we just don't even think about it. We see people and we're just like, oh, it's a person. But we don't even realize what's going on, what could be going on.
Absolutely.
What they could be dealing with.
See, it's much different, I think, mental illness versus like, oh, I broke my arm. You can tell I'm in pain. Like mental illness is, somebody could easily be hiding it. And you're just like, oh, they seem so happy. They seem so like they're enjoying life. And then they're not so much, and you would never know.
I have a really hard time thinking about that.
That's why I try to be nice to everybody I see, because you really don't know like what's going on in their life. No,
for sure.
So just be nice to people. Even if they're not.
You never know. You don't know what someone's going through, and you smiling at somebody could be the one thing that just changes their day and makes them feel better. And it's worth it.
I agree completely. Because I know I've watched and heard when I was looking into stuff this weekend, people talking about how their mental illness could lead to suicide, and how they're like, one person was just nice to me and just talked to me and just listened to what I had to say, and it made all the difference. And it made, they didn't think about it anymore. They took a step back and realized they needed help, and they got the help. So if you know somebody who they're thinking about it, they say they have a plan, you're concerned about that, there is a national suicide prevention lifeline, and that's 1-800-273-8255. And they're going to walk you through, they're going to ask you some questions and make sure you get the help that you need or the resources to help someone else.
Help someone else, yeah. And don't ignore the signs either. You
absolutely. And just got to be aware. It's hard to be aware, but
it is. But like I said, it's worth it in the long run to be aware of the people around you and to be nice to people and just be there,
Yeah.
Be a part of life out there. Not everything's electronic, It seems like the world's kind of gone electronic this last year, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't still try to connect with people and be a part of people's lives.
Absolutely. I want to give you a tissue so bad.
I know, my nose is running. I shouldn't have. I tear up for 1 second and my nose just...
Get those Mel drops.
Those Mel drops right there. Yeah, sorry, everybody. I'm sniffing real loud now.
Emotion it means you're a person.
I'm sometimes too much of a person. I see someone else crying a mile away and I'll start crying and I don't know what they're crying about.
Oh, honestly, I've done that. And like someone else is crying and they're like, why are you crying? I'm like, you're crying and that's making me cry.
Yes. Oh God, I'm the same way.
It just depends like what it is. If I've dealt with it before, like if it's really raw, like experience I've never had, like it really just hits you. And then you're just like, oh my gosh. And these resources, at least what I have seen, you don't have to pay for. It's just there for you to get what you need.
And that's awesome.
I
love that there's so many resources out there that are just given to people for free because it's just that important.
Absolutely. And there's a bunch of resources. There's always your local community that can help you. There's stuff from the state as well. So like you can go to Mental Health Services for Ohio. They have stuff to get you started. There's Mental Health America, which is MHA, which is mhanational.org. There's the National Institute of Mental Health, NIMH, which is nimh.nih.gov. National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is NAMI, which I've taken a lot of that stuff, which is NAMI.org. And of course, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP, and that's at afsp.org. And so if you or someone you know is in a crisis, you can always call the Ohio Care Line, and this is at 1-800-720-9616. Or you can even text. You can use the crisis text line by texting 4HOPE, to 71741. And it's hard sometimes to talk on the phone with somebody you don't know. So I think that's really great that they can text somebody too.
Yeah.
Because I know like if you're sobbing or if you're struggling for words, you can like see it visually and see what you're going to put. It helps.
Yeah, that's almost easier too. And sometimes it is harder to talk to somebody you don't know, and sometimes it's so much easier.
Oh, for sure.
So you can call somebody because they don't know you personally. They don't know anything from your life or your history. There's no judgment. They're there just to listen and to hear what it is you have to say and then try to help you through it. So I think that's a really cool thing.
I do too. Which I know it's quite of a serious podcast, but it's important to have these conversations.
It is. And since May is National Awareness Month for it, we wanted to be inclusive and make sure people were aware and just dedicate one podcast to that's what we were talking about today.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which even with mental health, even if you don't have a mental illness, there's always stress, there's always work stress, there's home stress. So we also wanted to talk about that as well, because we acknowledge that there's different levels of what's going on, mental health, just in general.
Yeah.
It's a lot right now.
Yeah, I mean, still dealing with COVID and everything. I know there's people with small businesses that have had to close or are struggling, and like that's a big stress of just not knowing where your job stands in this time, and dealing with family issues or medical issues, or um, there's a lot of stress for that. There's a lot of
Yeah.
stress everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you're moving or trying to
Oh
plan
yeah.
something, or like we said, planning is hectic right now.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
I lost my train of thought. That's why I paused. um, I had found some things online and then added to a little bit of my own thoughts. There was, I think, 7 points I had found on this one website of ways to just kind of relieve your stress at home and just try to help yourself relax and feel better. So I'm going to kind of run through those a little bit. And the first one was limit the amount of news you watch to give your mind a break from the drama on TV. Because there's even a lot of false news out there too. And sometimes if you're not careful and you're listening to all this drama and whatever is on the news, it can really like heighten your senses and like raise your blood pressure. And I know
yeah.
when COVID first started, it was the one thing my mom told my grandma not to do. She's like, don't even watch TV. Don't watch the news.
It was a lot.
Because they were spewing out numbers like this many people are going to die today. And they had everybody so scared that some of the first numbers they threw out there, and it was like half the population was going to die from this. And
which I definitely agree. It definitely put people into, I would say, a little bit of a hysteria.
Yeah.
Because you don't know. You want people to be safe. And I'm all about giving the facts. If I know the facts, I'd like to give the facts.
I feel like they didn't have all the facts when this all started because the COVID was something new, something we hadn't seen before. So there was a lot going on the TV that wasn't entirely accurate. And there's probably stuff out there now. I mean, why stress yourself out watching all the stuff on TV that you have no control over?
Yeah, I think it's good to definitely be aware, but I definitely agree. There's some things that are just out of your control. And as long as you know that you did everything you could in that point in time, that's all you can do. I know I recently tried to buy a house and I had to walk away and like put in a bid and be like, I know Michael and I did everything we could do to get this house. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Fortunately, it didn't happen. So we had to, so no house for us. But
yeah,
I know COVID and a house are two different things, but
sometimes there's only so much you can do, and then you got to walk away. So the second thing that I found was take care of yourself physically. That's a big part too of just relieving stress or staying healthy. I know it's harder through the winter, but now that it's spring and it's bright and sunny out most of the days, just getting outside or sitting outside for
absolutely,
half an hour a day. Just get that fresh air and you take deep breaths. Get enough sleep. That's a good one. I've been staying up way too late watching TV, and then I wake up super late and I'm sleeping in and I'm tired. And it's not good. Go to sleep on time. Eat healthier foods. I also struggle with this one, but that's a big physical thing too, that if you eat an apple instead of a piece of cake, you're actually going to feel so much better. Believe me.
I know we all want the cake, but
I know it tastes so good until you finish it and then you just feel like a slug. So yeah, take care of yourself physically. And if you can exercise, go for walks. Just be more active, and it gets your blood flowing and your heart rate up, and it actually makes you feel so much better. That's scientific.
Yeah,
I don't have all the science behind it, but
yeah, definitely even sitting outside. I like how you said that, because I know it's harder for older individuals. So even just getting
Yeah.
that fresh air, like you said, it makes a huge difference.
It
That's what I do
does.
after work. I sit outside and I'll read my book if I don't feel like taking a walk, just so I can get fresh air and just
No, it does.
unwind.
It makes a huge difference. And the third thing was something we had talked about earlier, was talking to other people. So don't close yourself off or close yourself in. You can always call family or friends, a counselor. You can call a guideline or a hotline if you need it. Um, and then you could also join a book group. The library has
That's
book
right.
groups every month, and then you're with a group of people. We've even I don't know if you guys are doing it at Genoa, but the Elmore group, our morning book group, and the Wine Flight book group can meet in the library now.
Oh, yep.
Because we
Yep,
have
that's
safer
where we're at.
guidelines. People can be inside the building, so you're welcome to come and join a book group and be in a group of people again, safely. Obviously, we're sitting apart and we're wearing masks, but it's being a part of something and talking to people. So always talk to people.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm glad you mentioned joining that too, because if you're interested in joining a book group, my group, the morning book group here at Genoa, I've actually just compiled our new list of titles that we're going to vote on.
Oh, good.
So if it's a book group that you would think about liking to join, you're more than welcome to pick up like a voting sheet from me. I'd love to get your opinion, because if you're going to join the group, you might as well get to vote. Like, it's a perfect time.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good point. Number 4 is kind of hard to do, but it was keep doing things you love. And that can be really hard if you love traveling or going places or things like that, going to conventions or whatever it is you love doing. It can be very hard to do right now. But there's also been a lot of things that places have put into place to make that kind of possible. So there's still ways to do things that you love. I personally have taken a couple online tours of museums and stuff.
Oh,
Because while
there's
you
some really
can't,
good ones.
yeah, so while you can't travel right now, you can still see inside, and like you get to walk around and go through these museums. Or there was one that I missed out on, but it was like the pyramids. It was like a tour of the pyramids. There's a lot of incredible stuff out there, and I would encourage you to do that too if that's something that you like or are into. Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to check out the Egypt one. For a long time, I wanted to be an archaeologist, specifically in Egyptology.
Ooh.
Because I was just so fascinated with that like culture. And
yeah. Is it weird that I want to see like a real mummy?
Oh no. Oh, I wonder
I'm
if it's
so
still
intrigued.
There was a real mummy. Oh, where was I at? I think it might have been Chicago. It was the Chicago Museum of Science, Natural History, maybe. It's at, what is the one with the dinosaur, Sue the dinosaur? Do you know which one I'm talking about? It's like right next to Navy Pier. It's this huge museum, and they had a whole, like, of course, thing about Egypt, and they had a whole mummy there. They had several, like, they had children mummies, they had adult mummies, they had cats mummified, like, they had a whole thing and a half. It was cool.
I know it sounds so morbid, but I'm so intrigued by the mummification process and everything.
Oh yeah.
I find it very
interesting.
fascinating. I probably shouldn't. I'm sorry.
Oh, if you this is a little bit off topic of the museums. Well, it's still a museum. If anybody goes to the Mutter Museum in, is it Philadelphia? Yeah, I think it was Philadelphia. And it was so interesting. They had like skulls there. They had like dead bodies.
Oh gosh.
It was because she died in like a mysterious way. That's why they had her. And this guy, Charles Mutter, like he had all of this interesting stuff because he was like a scientist and very intrigued about like history of like the body and how things like affect it. And they even had like skeletons of like a really tall person. They had a skeleton of someone who had worn a corset for so long that it changed the way their body was versus how your body should actually be, because why are you going to force your body to be something that it's not, you know?
Yep.
And it was insane to see all the bone pieces just like morphed into this corset versus like how it should like naturally be, so your organs work appropriately. So
Right.
it was just
Yeah.
insane. And I was like, what? It was trippy. It was trippy, but it was very interesting if you're into that.
I'm into it. It's so weird. I'm into it. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it was very cool. I would recommend.
So I think one of the first ones I did, I know we kind of went down a deep, deep rabbit trail, and I'm just going to keep making it worse. One of the first virtual tours I took online was of the Winchester house.
Oh yeah.
I
How
wanted
was
to go there
that?
like in person so bad. It was very cool because it was kind of more like an audio walkthrough, so you didn't like physically like move your computer mouse or anything. It was like a video as they were panning and showing different rooms, and somebody did a voiceover for everything, and just being able to see all of it, the unfinished pieces, the staircases that led to nowhere. Some of the like the strangest, skinniest little stairs that I don't even understand why they were built the way some of these things were built. And then
Now
there was part of the
let
house
me
that
sorry, I was just going to ask you for those to make sure I still know what I'm talking about. And hopefully, if people that are listening or watching don't know, that's the house that the Winchester woman had built because her family like invented guns, right?
yeah, so it was her husband's company, the Winchester Gun Company, and he had died, and it was believed that she continued to build onto the house until the day she died. And that was, I don't remember how many years. So years
Yeah,
and years and years, she just kept building onto the house. And it was random stuff. Like I said, there was stairways leading to nothing. Part of the house, I think it caught on fire or there was a storm or something, and part of the house was damaged and they never rebuilt it. So it's just kind of like this empty, blank, ugly hallway thing. Like they never fixed that part of it.
that's
Um,
bananas. And there's like, she never kept any like diaries. There's no primary sources as to
no,
why.
she was just the woman that built, and literally the building did not stop until the day she died.
That's
So
crazy.
this house is beyond massive. So the tour that I took didn't even cover like half of the house because there's so much to see. There's like,
Cool.
yeah, there's like random doors
Wow.
that like you open a door and there's another door. There's
So
windows that are looking into like another window looking into a room.
So, follow-up question. Have you seen, because I believe they made that movie based off of it, even though I'm sure it's like not historically accurate whatsoever.
Right. I have not seen the movie. And I will say, I forgot to say, um, it's speculated that she continued to build and build the way she did in the very, very confusing fashion to confuse any spirits that may have been vindictive, spirits of people that were killed by Winchester guns.
Hmm,
That was the speculation, that she was trying to confuse the ghosts or the evil spirits that might be vindictive.
interesting.
So yeah.
I
And
have
then
so
there
many
was
questions.
it's a very interesting thing, and there's parts of the house that almost look normal. The stable house downstairs looked normal, and it was beautiful. The way they've restored everything is just beautiful. It's a very interesting tour.
Is that tour still? Do you know if it's available online still?
Yes, I believe it is.
Okay, I might have to watch it.
Yeah, I don't have I could probably mention it to Nathan and add that in one of the links too. So we could have the Winchester House in our links for people to check out
That are intrigued. I know
that
I'm
are
intrigued.
intrigued. Um, we hope you're intrigued that we went
Uh,
down that super deep rabbit hole.
I enjoy kind of oddities, if you will, like fun oddities, I
Yes.
guess, if you consider it fun. Some people probably don't consider it fun. I like interesting things because it
Yeah,
makes your
me
mind like
too.
think and wonder, like,
Mm-hmm. No, I get it. I like that kind of weird stuff. I think that house has a very interesting history. But there's a lot of tours out there you can take online and places you can see and go without even having to leave your home.
Mm-hmm.
So number 4, keep doing things you love. And if that's watching weird tours about strange houses or talking about mummies, do it. Wrapped it all together. Number 5, practice meditation. I don't really do this, but I've done it before, and it's actually very relaxing. I don't really have a whole lot of insight into it.
I don't do it as often either, but I think even just like sometimes at work or if something happens at home, all I do is I just kind of inhale and then exhale a few times, and even just doing it, 3 times helps tremendously.
Yeah.
It just kind of calms you down.
It does. I have an app on my phone that's more of like a workout app, but they added like meditations to it.
Oh, nice.
So it's like 10 or 15 minutes. You can start one of these, and you start out just like sitting down, your eyes closed, and like focusing on your breathing. And then the one I was doing, the instructor had you lay down with your eyes closed, and you're just like letting your body like weigh down on itself, and you're just like laying there and very peaceful, and you're breathing. And it is just very relaxing, because then he's like, I'm going to stop talking and go away. And they just play peaceful music. And it's almost like sleeping. But like your mind, like you just clear your mind of everything. You're throwing all that stress away and just being in that moment at that time.
Absolutely. And I know sometimes for a form of meditation, people do yoga. I've done yoga before. Like the first time I did yoga, I almost fell asleep in the class. That's how like peaceful it was for me.
See? Relaxing.
It was. I don't know if it was like a combination of me just being so physically, emotionally tired, but like focusing on my breathing helped a lot. And I like barely made it back to my apartment in school, and I was out. I was out.
Oh yeah. That could be another thing I'll add on, like 5.5. Y'all should take naps. I take naps at least once or twice a week. I will just get so bogged down, and we have 2 now. We have 2 Papazons in our living room because I bought a second one because we love
what is
the first one
that?
so much. It's a
Papazon? Is that correct? Papazon. Okay.
Yeah, so it's got a round base, and then it has like this almost, it's like a dish that fits on top of the base with a giant cushion in it. But someone had given us one of them, and then I bought a second one because we loved it so much. And it's like, it just cradles you. So it's our favorite chair in the living room. And I'll just be like, hey, I'm out. And then I'll just fall asleep for half an hour and then wake up.
That's amazing. Now, for those of you like myself, napping is not our forte. I don't know how many times I will try to nap. I'll even try to nap on the weekend. Like this past Sunday, I was like, oh, the wind, it's blowing in my face, a lovely breeze. I'm like, this is great. I'm going to nap. I'm on the couch. I have my blanket. I'm all cozy. Couldn't fall asleep. I tried for over an hour to nap. Sometimes
I'm so physically
wore
out, I don't even realize it, because I can sleep anywhere at any time.
I'm jealous. Michael can do that too, and he'll like nap. So my advice for those that are like me that have a hard time falling asleep, even just closing your eyes and just laying there, it makes a difference though, because like my eyes don't feel as tired. So even if you don't get a full nap, rest your eyes.
Yeah, you're just resting your eyes, your mind, just laying there for a little bit, not doing anything physically. It is restful, even if just for a few minutes. So I'll move on real quick. We'll go through the last 2 that I have. Number 6 is take breaks during work. We do this. You get tired of looking at your computer screen or doing books or whatever it is that you're doing at your work. It's good to just look away from your screen for a little bit, or get up, do a couple laps around your office, and then come back to it, just to get away from it for just a little bit. Or go visit your coworker and talk to somebody for a minute.
Yeah, it makes a difference. It helps you. I think it helps you stay focused better too.
Yeah, no, definitely. You can't just continually do this one stressful thing because it just wears you down.
Yeah, for sure.
And the last thing, I didn't actually take from the website. I kind of included this just from myself, and it's keep a journal. Because I keep a journal. So at the end of your day, for just 5 or 10 minutes a day, write down all the positive things that happened. If you met someone or saw an old friend, you went out for ice cream and had ice cream for dinner, just whatever the experience was, just write it down. You can remember all the good things that happened. And then I also like to write down bad stuff sometimes because
Absolutely.
that we don't have good days every day.
No.
So I write down the bad stuff too because then I like to look back on it in like a year or so and see how I've grown from what that experience was or how my life has changed from then or how I was able to move past whatever that bad thing was. So I encourage everybody to keep a journal because it's life changing.
Honestly, I love that you write about not only good but the bad too. I think that's so smart. I think you're so wise and like to be acknowledging, like, honestly though, I don't think people, they only want to write the good stuff down, but that's not life. I mean, there's always going to be ups, there's going to be downs. I know I've written stuff down and I was so upset. I was, like at the time I was distraught. I'm like, why is this happening? I'm like, what can I do? And then, like you said, you figure out what worked, what didn't work, and then you move on. And then if it happens again, you can always look back and be like, hey, last time this didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try something else. I think that's so great, acknowledging the issue and then moving forward with it.
Yeah. So that is my 7 things plus a little bit of mummy talk in the middle. So
Love it. Maybe that's something we should do, a mummy podcast.
Ooh, can we?
I mean,
that'd be so fun.
We could just talk about that for like days, honestly. Maybe we'll have to figure out if there's a fun way to make it to discuss. I don't want to make it sound like we're in a lecture hall, like thank you for coming to Egyptian History 101. Like,
right, yeah, no. We're not experts. We're just intrigued by the mummification process.
Absolutely.
Well, we're so glad that you guys were all able to join us for our May podcast. And hopefully you saw our April podcast and our bonus episode that we had with our special guest star, Nathan Wright.
That was fun.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to that one yet, I encourage you to go back and do so because it is a blast. We spent a lot of time just talking and catching up.
Yeah, even after we finished recording the podcast, we just enjoyed talking to him as like a person. It was fun.
Oh yeah, there was definitely a lot to it. So it was a lot.
I definitely, because I've heard like people like, oh yeah, Nathan, and I was like, okay. And then like now that I've actually met him and like talked to him, I'm like, wow, I feel like I know you now. Like I could see you down the street and be like, hey, how have you been?
I know. I felt kind of good, I guess, that I had met him once before. So I feel like I had like a slight advantage, but then when it came to recording the podcast, I feel like I just listened to like everybody else and I'm just sitting there nodding my head the whole time. Like, yeah, I don't got nothing to say. I am just here.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there was 5 of us, so.
Oh yeah.
It was quite a few people in the podcast, I think.
It was fun. It was lengthy, but I encourage you to go back and to watch that episode or listen to it, however you get your podcast in.
Yeah, take that, Jimmy Fallon. Our podcast is probably longer than yours.
Better. But on that note, we'll go ahead and end this episode with another word scientist.
Yeah! I'm excited.
Okay, so our word this month, and I'll spell it out for everybody too because
it looks like a doozy.
The word this month is a bibliophobia. A bibliophobia. And it's ABIBLIOPHOBIA.
Maybe we can get Nathan to put the pronunciation like bibliophilia, like, how they do to break it down in like English class.
Well, okay, so we'll break this down. We're going to see if we can figure out what it is before we Google it and see what the actual term
I already
is.
see like biblio and like phobia, so I recognize books,
Right.
Something
So
with libraries, and then like the phobia part.
phobia is like the fear of something.
Yeah.
So is Biblia book? So
Well,
is
see,
this like fear of books?
that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, but just the A itself is kind of throwing me off. But I think
Yeah.
it would that makes like, if I'm going to make an educated guess, that would be the guess I would be leaning towards based off the two words I can identify.
A bibliophobia. It
Like they're
is
afraid of
interesting,
books.
but I feel like I know it's got to be fear of books or fear of libraries, something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, which is insane. You should not be afraid.
Don't be afraid of libraries.
It's
there's so
free.
many
You don't even
people.
pay for it
There are
unless you
so
lose a
many
book.
people
Then
that
you do
are
have to pay for
afraid
that.
of libraries.
Oh, we're too friendly to be afraid. We give you crafts. We give you jokes. You want to say, "Hey, how's it going?" We listen. There's so much, and we don't ask for money unless you lose an item. Then we do have to charge you for
Well,
that.
yeah, maybe. Why'd you
Yeah.
tell everybody that? Now they're
I
scared of us
mean,
again. Dang it, Ariel.
I'm making sure they know the facts.
Okay.
I want them to be informed.
So I'm gonna go ahead and Google a bibliophobia, because we were saying that it's got to be the fear of books.
Yeah, if
Or fear
that
of
or libraries,
libraries.
yeah.
So the definition says,
Is it supposed to be like Latin
oh,
origin? Uh-oh.
it is a noun. It is the
Okay.
fear of running out of things to read.
What?
A
Interesting.
bibliophobia. Someone
Huh.
that has a fear of running out of things to read.
Well, I guess that's a better definition than what we were coming up with.
I love that so much better than the fear of books. It's the fear of not having books.
Interesting.
That is very interesting. I like that.
I guess my question is, how do they break it down? Because like, what, because I see the book part, the phobia part, but I guess, I don't know.
I don't know.
Interesting.
There's probably more to it. But I'll leave that up to you guys. You want to go Google oh my God, can't even say it. A bibliophobia.
A bibliophobia.
And research it a little bit more and see why it is the way it is.
Yeah, this was a good word. I like this one.
Me too. I like that better than Meldrop.
Oh, for sure. Sorry, Meldrop, but
yeah, this one's better.
Well, I guess on that note, since we finished with our word for this month.
Yeah, we gave you a lot of serious information. We shed a couple of tears. We talked about mummies, and we gave you a really awesome word to go Google.
Honestly.
So thanks for joining us this month.
Yeah.
And we really look forward to the coming months and the things that we're going to bring you.
Yes, enjoy the Mayflowers.
Yes, please do. It's gorgeous outside.
Yes.
And we'll see you next month.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.